Yeah, you can't control somebody else's ego. That's the thing. You don't know until it's happening. You have no idea. It could be the most sweetest person in the world, and then things change.
It's like, why? And
that's life.
The funny thing is, I literally seen that with this community that was built. It was like, you saw people saying, I deserve that. I want that. And
people
when you
get jealous too.
When you start saying, I deserve that, I want that, I could do better than that, that's your ego, like literally biting you. And you probably can do better. And you probably can take it further. But you will never be able to take it further than if you decided to work together as a group.
That's fair.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the More Than a Side Hustle podcast. We are your host, Anthony.
And I'm Janoka.
And our goal is to help 9-to-5ers create more impact, income, and influence outside their jobs. And hopefully, we do a decent job of that today.
Yes, but before we move on, we always want to remind you to please go ahead and leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening to us at. Go ahead, leave us a 5-star, or you can even write us a review. It goes further for us. But thank you for tuning in.
And the purpose of us always asking you to do that is
y'all
because
do it. Go ahead.
They do it. We got about 140 reviews.
More than 140 people listen.
That's true, too. It helps us reach more people. It helps us create a larger impact. So appreciate you guys dropping those reviews every week. And today we'll be talking about the power of collaboration and the importance of it. And I want to talk about the reason for this topic and the reason that this came up. So I was in the gym. Number one, we are recording this podcast. It is almost like 10 o'clock at night. This is how you know.
Yes, on a Saturday night.
This is how you know that we show up and we show out every time for you guys.
Yes.
We could be sitting here chilling. We could be like, yo, listen, we got to get this podcast ready. We got to make sure we don't miss a beat. But I was in the gym, and if you guys don't know, I love listening to podcasts in the gym. But today I decided, well, whatever day it was, I decided not to listen to a podcast, and I wasn't listening to an album. So I ended up listening to the DJ Khaled album.
What made you choose that?
I have no idea. You know how to...
Which one?
The God Did album.
Oh, the newest one again.
So I'm listening, and there's a point to this story, and it does our conversations always tie in. So I'm listening to the album, and I'm like, yo, how does he get Jay-Z, Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, like Future, Drake, like
Bieber, all the big artists?
How does he get all of them on one album
or one track?
Or one track. You got the biggest stars in the world on one single track, and I was like, this is absolutely nuts. And I always remember how people say that DJ Khaled doesn't have any talent. What do you think his talent is?
I don't know if he doesn't have any talent. He is, I know it's kind of like, he doesn't rap or he does whatever he does. Or sing like the rest of the artists that he put on, so it feels that way. But I wouldn't say he doesn't have talent. I never said that or heard that, at least.
So a lot of people don't know he actually does DJ. He's a DJ, number one. So he has that talent. But I think his greatest talent is getting people to collaborate.
Right. So his personality, based on what he shows us, is probably what makes people accept and say, yes, I'll be a part of what you're doing.
But why, though? What makes
his personality?
Your personality can't be great where you say great enough where it's like, I want to work with you.
What? That is the epitome of why people work with people sometimes.
That's true.
Like, not just personality, but like your energy, all that type of stuff play into why somebody says yes to work with you.
You think his
it may not be the only reason. I think that plays into it. Maybe he doesn't take no for an answer. Like, how did he get his foot wet? I have no idea, because you have to start from somewhere. Yeah. So somebody had to vouch for you, I'm assuming, to say like, yeah, this guy is good people, give him a try, because I don't know how he gets the biggest people in the world on a track. I have no idea. He does it every single time, at least once a year.
And we're not even talking about people who are just like, that just need the fame. Right. And I literally was going through, I was like, I think DJ Khaled's biggest superpower is getting people to collaborate. Like, just the God Did track. Jay-Z, Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, John Legend, and him.
I think that's it.
You have the biggest talent in the world on one track, and none of them need to be on that track. None of them need the single source of music from him. But I think people recognize that, all right, he's going to bring the best out of people. He's going to bring the brightest talents and bring them in the same room.
Right. It kind of reminds me that even though they don't need him, it's kind of like, you know, you should always be marketing. It's the same way that a Target or a Macy's or Victoria's Secret, They don't need to email me, do they? Every single day, 3 times a day?
No.
If you want to go like that, but they want to stay relevant. They want to stay in the loop. So, yes, these people, all of them that you mentioned, kind of paid their dues, and people know their status and believe whatever you believe, whatever your opinion is on them, so they don't need it. However, it doesn't hurt them. It's always helpful, even if it's just a little bit. Maybe you've never heard of Jay-Z or whatever. Maybe you've never heard of some of these artists, and this one song hits, and now you know who the person is.
So do you think that Jay-Z and Beyonce being on a track with DJ Khaled makes their brand any bigger?
Potentially. If one extra person hears them that never heard of them before, then yeah. Right?
I don't think that's the case.
So what do you think they're doing it for?
I don't think a Jay-Z or a Beyonce gets on a DJ Khaled track for notoriety.
I didn't say that's the only reason they're doing it, but that may be part of it. You can always expand. There's always people that don't know you.
So you think? Okay, I'm saying. I want to say it again.
Mind you, I am obsessed with Beyonce, so of course I feel the world should know who she is. However, I know that there's always people that don't know you, or maybe you've never tapped into your market, right? So obviously I know Walmart, but I don't tap into that market. I don't go in there. So maybe there's something that you show me on this track that makes me say, okay, let me see what they got going on. I'm just saying. I'm
going to say this again. So do you think Beyonce gets on a DJ Khaled track saying, my brand is going to be exposed, my brand has the potential to be exposed to somebody who's never heard of me?
I think that's the reason why a lot of people do things.
I think it's the fact that he has built such a big a name of collaboration. Like you mentioned, his personality. Like, let's say, I don't know his personality aside, but we know that he's going to put together a body of work, a body of not just work, body of people who are not like BSing. I know if I put my name on this, if I put my brand or my name into this project, it's not going to be a BS project. I don't think he has to go and beg people to. He might on the side, but I don't think you can get Jay-Z and Beyonce to do multiple things over and over again. There's not one time he's done it, multiple times, without there being some sort of, all right, I trust this guy. I know he's going to put his stamp on it, and I know he's going to put the best body of work together.
That doesn't take away from them still having a gain. Everybody has a gain in whatever they do. That's the way I feel. Like, you gain something most of the times. Nobody really does things for free generally. I mean, maybe there's some community service and stuff like that.
Jay-Z said he doesn't charge people for if he knows you, he doesn't charge people.
And that's good for him. Because, but still, yeah. Maybe there's other things, but I think that's part of it, is my point. I think that's part of it. Yeah, they may like the collaboration, but I could collaborate with anybody at any time. Like, I'm talking about them, obviously. So, I don't know. That's my thoughts. There's a gain in it. But they may be helping him, or may feel like, let's do something together. Sure, I'll join in on it. But also, it can help them as well. I'm saying.
And that made me, that DJ Khaled reference, talking about collaboration and the power of it. It also made me think about what was this? We were watching something. Damn, what the hell was it?
Which one? Is it a show or movie? What was watching?
It was an interview. It was an interview with Kevin Hart and Jay-Z. And I think we also talked about this like eons ago.
Okay, yeah, Kevin Hart and Jay-Z. And on the Hart Show, whatever it's called.
Yeah, Heart to Heart. Yeah, he stole that name for us, from us, number one.
We got the hashtag show. We should probably trademark that and find out what's happening.
Nah, he got it now.
I'm kidding.
But he was even talking about how they, again, going back to the biggest people in the world, he said, our biggest challenge is
doing things together.
And
sorry,
is this
I'm looking down because we're a little loud and Lonnie's turning.
So. Lonnie is turning.
But go ahead.
Because this also, I think about this all the time, is like, why is it just a black thing? Is it because it's very hard to get black people to collaborate together?
Because what?
I don't know.
What's your thought? Obviously, we don't have the answer for every single person.
I don't want to blame slavery for it, but
what?
I think...
Okay, go ahead.
I think that it has something to do with our ancestors. I think
we were working together as slaves.
I think it became... Listen, I don't want to get into the whole...
Slaves, okay.
I don't know the backstory of it, but you got the people who were in the house and the people who weren't.
Okay,
and then you got the people who watch over, right? There's
classism, there's colorism.
Yeah, there was classism, there's colorism, and they made people... people watch over each other.
Yeah, okay.
Like, oh, you got a different rate than me, so we can't work together. And I think that has to do a lot of it, because our biggest challenge, I think, as Black people, is working together
and
collaborating.
And would you say, I think a lot of it has to do with ego, right? I mean, that
ego
may be
comes from that.
Yeah, that may be the backstory, but at some point you come up with your own values and your own thoughts as well, right? Like, not technically, I wasn't a slave, so if I decide as an adult now, like, okay, I'm not going to collaborate because such and such, that's more of a personal decision. So, like, what is the reason that you're not doing it? Now, for me personally, I'm not against collaborating. I am against collaborating with family, though. You know how I feel about that. Now,
but why?
Or family and friends, I think it is. Not I think it is, that it is. Because
you rather work with somebody that you don't know off the street than somebody that you've known your entire life?
Because it always ruins relationships. Like, people say, people say they want to maintain that relationship. Growing up, my mother always used to tell me, whenever you go to college, don't room with your friends. It's one thing to know somebody, it's another thing to live with somebody, right? I know you roomed with all of your friends and things worked out fine, right? But generally, sometimes it doesn't. It's like, why risk that because I want that relationship? And the 2 or 3 times that we worked with family and friends, due to Tony saying to do so, they all screwed up. Right or wrong?
Okay, that's 2.
All right. 2 to 3 times. How many times do you need to be burnt?
Listen, you do what you can when you could do it.
Okay. But yeah, that's my reason behind it. I don't want to ruin the relationships that I have, and it tends to happen because it's hard to have that line. It gets blurred, basically.
I would rather take the chance on the line being blurred than not ever taking the chance.
I didn't say take the chance, just take the chance with someone else. Because if it's with a stranger, it's like, okay, it's business. I can just cut you and keep it moving. Like, all right, it didn't work out. It's with a friend or family member. You can stop the business relationship, of course, but then you're human. So you still have feelings of you didn't do this, you did this, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's harder to keep it like black and white when it comes to that. That's my personal opinion. Don't say they can't do the work, but
do you think that we could set better boundaries up front?
Absolutely. I think you can set, and then also expectations, I think, plays into it. And then you tend to feel, I know for me, I tend to feel like when working with friends and family, because I'm your friend or family, I expect more from you, right? I expect
communication.
Communication, how you show up, whatever it is, I kind of expect a bit more because we have that relationship. And maybe that's a problem as well. So I prefer to just not even get things blurry when I could just keep it on the straight, but deal with somebody else. I don't. We disagree about this all the time.
But I always feel like if, let's say someone wants to work with us. So let's say just me. I'm not even going to say us. Like Anthony as an individual. Let's say Anthony does great at building whatever it is. Let's say building a house. You come to Anthony, you're a family or a friend. Like, listen, I know you're good at this. I want to work with you. I want to collaborate with you or pay you. It doesn't even have to be a collaboration. It's still a collaboration when you work with friends and family. But I think that setting those clear expectations up front, yes, regardless, you set expectations up front, you tell people who
do what they want. Yeah.
They're going to do what they want. But at least I say, this is my fear. My fear is that us doing this together will hinder our relationship.
And they say, oh, no, of course not.
And we say, of course not.
Yeah.
But I think it will probably be more imperative for us to over communicate during that time with friends and family versus with someone we don't know. Like, listen, I don't know you. I don't care for you. So there's no relationship. So I can tell you like it is and not be afraid to hurt your feelings.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, now there's benefits of collaborations as well, right? Like you said, if there is a family or friend or anyone that you know in your life that does good work at something that you do, you're a realtor, this person cleans homes. Let's give an example. This person has a cleaning business. It would be great to collaborate, right? It makes sense because anytime I close, I can refer you. Like, there's things that you can collaborate, right? I'm not saying no.
What happens if I don't do the house well?
Right. Now I don't clean the house well, right? And now you're coming to me and it's kind of like, you're not a good cleaner. How could you say, that's just an example, of course. But that is my fear about it. Okay. And both times have proven me correct. So it's kind of like, but you don't need to tell me 3 times.
But let's use your example right there. So realtor and a cleaner. We know, what is your process when my closing client doesn't think you did a good job. What is your? Let's just stick to what the process.
The policy.
Is. What is the policy? Friends, family?
It never goes that way. That's the issue.
I'm being too black and white.
Yeah, it just doesn't go that way. That's the problem. That is the problem, because it's like my policy will be you reach out to the company, blah, 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 but you going to text me on a Saturday night like, nah, my client just hit me up saying that the windows wasn't done right.
And then I can't tell you go to the company because
I'm be like, okay, you have to wait till Monday to speak to our manager, right? That's not going to fly because you know me directly. That's the problem. People never, because you feel like, rightfully so, I have access to you directly. Why am I going to blah, blah, blah? You're the owner of the company, whatever it may be. So that's the issue. Now, does that mean, like you said, there's two people, there's billions of people in this world. Does that mean it never can work? Absolutely not. But you hear people say, and you've said it as well, we've collaborated with strangers, if you will, people that we've met through social media, and things have gone well. You got the guys out here in Dallas got together, did a brunch out of nowhere within 2-3 weeks, like 2 years ago, in-person event. Boom, got it done. No issues. Not family, not friends. Boom, black and white, done. Right? So it can happen, and it's helpful. It's when I was speaking about the exposure, it exposes you or us or anybody to different communities and things like that. So I think it's helpful, but it's just sometimes difficult because it's not so black and white.
Yeah, but I think when you get money involved, it changes things too. There was no money involved outside of.
Well, people had to put up their money.
Yeah, we put up our own personal money for that event. So okay, I'll give that one the benefit of the doubt. But egos is when things really get out of line.
I think so too.
So like we used to do like this huge event like in New York City with a bunch of friends.
Oh, don't downplay. Say the name. Some people probably know it. They probably was there.
I'm not gonna talk about it. this is not a shade or shots, but.
Oh no, I was saying in a good light because it was the littest thing in the world in the summer.
We used to go to the biggest events in New York City.
Yeah, it was lit.
And we always say when it was just us having a good time, it was fun.
When it became a business, it became harder.
There was no expectations. There was no guidelines. There was no money. There was no outcome. There was no nothing but us just getting together as a group and just doing this event. Now, when it got bigger, it got more, we had more pressure. Like, all right, now you did
People
it once.
expecting.
Yeah, you did it once. It was
customers.
Great. Now the second time now there's expectations. Now you got to get flyers. You got to get videographers involved. You got to get cameramen. You got to get photographers. You got to get vendors. And you got to bring in more money. And if you're not making any money, that means that now we're putting more money to something that we know there's not going to be any
outcome,
any, exactly, any income to our pockets. So it always becomes challenging now when you start making money. So now the third and fourth events, you start making money from those.
Start kicking people out.
And the dynamics start to change.
Because if I'm making money, if I'm doing 80% and you're doing 10%, it's like no way you making the same amount of money I'm making. That's another thing that it becomes.
We're just talking about if we can collaborate, we would do a lot better together.
But everybody wants you to collaborate at the same level. That's the thing. You can't tell me that we have a meeting 4 times a month. You show up once, I'm showing up 4 times. I'm just giving an example. And then we're at the same. That's the thing. Like, you can't tell me that whatever it is. So the people tend to feel like, well, if Johnny is not really even being there, why would he get the same cut that Anthony's getting? Rightfully so, right? And that's how people, I think that becomes an issue too. Money, yes, but then what's your involvement? Do you just print the flyer? Or are you at the door as well? So,
So is that ego?
For the person that just come in once a month, maybe. I don't know if it's ego for the other person that's like, I've been here 4 times. I wouldn't say it's ego. Maybe it's setting expectation as how you get this percentage. Like, if everybody's getting 10%, let's go with that. This is what you need to do to get that 10%. Yeah. But in that, when it's like friends and just starting out, usually you don't have those guidelines in place. You're just kind of like, all right, well, we'll split it evenly, right? And you're like, well, why he getting the same amount I'm getting?
Because I always think about this. Like, this could have been the biggest event. It could have
continued, yeah.
And I mean, it's changed over the years.
But it's not happening. It's not changed. It's not happening.
It's not the same event.
Oh, it's not the same event. It has transferred.
It's not the same thing. But when you talk about building things, we could build things a lot bigger together. Like, even if you go back to, like, there was this community online. I didn't want to give the name. It was a community online that I was involved with. And it was the biggest community for whatever it was a community for. Everybody was in that community. Everybody was putting their money in. Everyone there was admins, there were staff, people. I don't know the inner workings of it. But you started to see things in that community where people are starting to pull. They're starting to pull from, I want you to join my own personal community. This person's not running it right. Join mine. And this is not just one person. It's like 5 people. Now you have this huge community. Everyone's in it. And now there's 5 different communities. Less people, less growth. The customer service is horrible. Instead of us trying to pick and choose and do our own thing, because now
collaborate together.
Yeah, there's egos involved.
Make it a bigger group.
There's egos involved.
Yeah.
And
people are nasty as well. Let's be clear.
People are going to be
people. Yeah.
Because this even goes back to when I was saying that when I said I wanted to bring people into our community. And the first thing you and our coach is like, well, you got to get documents because people going to steal your stuff. And
I agree.
I'm like, oh, here we go.
And you like, here we go. And I'm like, that's the part that me and you talk about a lot. I'm like, you be giving people too much of benefit of a doubt. And you're like, well, you be too harsh on people. But let's call a spade a spade. 97% of the time, I'm right.
So my question is that me being naive?
Yes.
Or is that you having too much?
It doesn't hurt to have your guard up more, though. It hurts you to be naive. There's a difference. It doesn't hurt if I have somebody sign something. It's just me protecting myself, right? But if you be naive and then they go and do it, then it hurts you because one, they took your whatever IP. 2, it feels more personal now. Like all those things get involved. That's why I say, why not protect yourself? I'm very big on let's get ahead before having someone do something that we know is possible, obviously, right? I don't believe everybody has good intentions. I don't care how you smile in my face. That could be a New York thing. I don't care. It is what it is. But it's like, why not protect ourselves versus having to backtrack and then somebody do something and we're like, oh, damn, didn't expect that. I didn't know that from a hole in the wall.
Listen, we were just talking about this on Fresh Prince last night.
What he did?
We said Uncle
Bel-Air
Phil
on Peacock.
We said Uncle Phil
what he did?
Is too guarded.
Oh, and the mom was...
He thinks everybody's trying to take something from him.
And we said everybody is trying to take something from him. No.
If you guys don't know, Fresh Prince, they got a reboot of it. And Uncle Phil is a lawyer just like on the old Fresh Prince. But I'm like, every single opportunity that comes up, he is just like what's the worst case that could happen?
Yeah. Well, he's a lawyer.
Lawyers.
So he knows. He's seen it all, probably. But go ahead.
But it's like he can't let anything go. He can't. He thinks no one has good intentions.
I don't disagree. Not no one, obviously, but I think at his status, of course, when money is involved, you start to side-eye everything because a lot of people are driven by money. So you start to just want to protect more, even more. Like, but he's maybe, yeah, go ahead.
I'll say he's pushed people away due to the fact that you could push people away due to the fact that you are being too guarded and reserved so that no one wants to work with you.
He's okay with that.
But are you okay with being so standoffish, so guarded, so reserved that no one says, I want to work with you because of that?
Well, if you're choosing not to work with me because I'm having you sign some documents, we don't need to work together. Because I don't think that's being standoffish. If I'm saying you got to sign something to protect myself, that's not standoffish. That's being smart in this day and age.
No, that's okay. Let's use that as a takeaway. We'll say that having people sign documentation that protects both parties
could be part of a collaboration, and that may be a reason why some of the collaborations don't work out.
So what about prenups? Like, everybody don't believe in prenups.
I know. So that's on them. I don't mind a prenup. I mean, you ain't had nothing coming in anyway. So but I personally don't mind a prenup. Let's do it. I don't have a problem with it.
So if I would have bought you a prenup, you would have been okay?
If I would have laughed, because I'm like, what do you have that I'm taking at that time?
I got a little bank account, a little something.
I hope they zoom in on my face with that. Yeah, man. So I know it can be more than just money with a prenup, but if at this point you said you wanted a prenup, I don't have a problem with it.
No, I'm not saying now.
No, I'm just saying.
In my mind, you do things like that with the thought that it potentially
something bad is going to happen. BS. Listen.
So why
there's more divorce. It's kind of like, we don't want to get into that divorce part of it, but the stats tell it all. People get divorced. No one plans for it. I mean, unless they're in that dinky wedding type of marriage, no one plans for it. I don't plan to get in an accident, but people get in accidents. That's why you have insurance. I don't want to be in the hospital, but people fall and get cuts. Yeah. It's just life, right? So that's the way I feel about it. Like, if you can plan for something when you have a clear mind, why not do it? Just like a trust in a will, people are gonna die, right? I'm not planning to die anytime soon, but if you can do something when you have a clear mind, why not do it versus in the midst of things going south? That's my thought on all those type of documents and stuff like that. So with collaborations, maybe if some of those things are in place and it's not just like, oh, Johnny's my buddy, we've been together for the past 10 years, that would have someone second guessing. If I sign something, obviously they can do what they want. But if I sign something and I know that maybe this person going to sue me or something, maybe I'll second guess how I move. Just a thought, just saying.
So you do agree having guidelines and outlines at the very beginning of the collaboration efforts will allow things to be smoother?
I think so. But it's not the end all. It's not the Bible, obviously. People do what they want, but I think it can assist with things to be smoother. I think so. But generally, people don't put that in place.
I don't know, man, because I want to...
You just be wanting to collaborate with the world.
No, I'm good with keeping my collaboration in-house. I think collaborating... You got to know your partners, too. Like, it's so hard to collaborate with people you don't know the inner workings of their business. Like, everything can look good up front. Everything can look good on the internets, but knowing the back end of
or just knowing them
or that person, you got to be able to know people. I wouldn't want to work with somebody that I absolutely don't like.
Yeah,
that's probably why I left my job too. You got to make sure you're able to work with people.
That's true.
You got to be able to work with people that you could say, all right, I could see myself hanging with you outside of this business stuff.
Agreed.
Which is the purpose of the entire collaboration effort. Like, all right, business aside, can we hang out? Can we have a conversation? And that's just definitely one of the takeaways I want you guys to have too, because we have across the street from our house, we have a supermarket. And there's a supermarket, and they own the Asian community. They own the entire block, like literally
shopping center.
So think about wherever you live, right? Like New York City, we got blocks.
Everybody got blocks.
I'm thinking about because New York City is a grid. So when I think about a block, I think about that grid. In Texas, it's not really grids. You ever seen the New York City map? It's literally a grid.
Yes,
up, down,
but everybody got a block.
And vertical. I'm saying this because they own the entire grid of an area.
Yeah.
And it is full of Asian supermarkets, Asian stores, Asian this, that, and the third, which I always admire it because I'm like, how do they come together and say, we are going to put a Asian-based store, and it's not just one. You got the beautiful hair salon store you went to, right? Is in that area.
It's across the street, but yeah.
But they got multiple food markets. It's not just one food market.
Restaurants.
You got multiple of the same restaurant. You got like it's not like all right, everybody have their own unique restaurants. Like no, you got the hair salon, beauty supply store. They got a few of those. They got a few restaurants. They got a few like regular just grocery stores, and they're all in the same area doing the same thing. And I'm like, I've never seen anything like that in any sort of neighborhood that Black people are in.
There you grew up in. Or
that we grew up in.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when it comes to stuff like that, I think that's where it comes in with finance. Like, we're not ahead as much as some people are when it comes to finances. So the Black community in general, when you hear those numbers of how much the Black families make on average in America. So I think that when it comes to those things, it's difficult to even get into that space for us. So we have to work double the amount as maybe some other cultures or religions and things like that to get into those spaces. So that's what has us 50 years, 100 years back from doing things like that. Can it be done? Absolutely, but it takes more work than somebody else generally.
So figuring out what type of work that takes, because we know people who own like commercial properties. It's like, we know these stores that needs to be done in the neighborhood, but why can't we come together and collaborate on that type of level?
I think it's important to remember, like with Instagram or social media, with us being around other like-minded people, it feels like Well, I know like at least 50 people that could do something like that, right? But we were reminded a lot that you're part of the 1% of America, right? So if you think that is nothing in comparison to how many people are in America. So really, yeah, maybe you know 50, it probably really is just 20, and that's not enough. So we're thinking because we have access to that it seems bigger than it really is. But when you really look at the stats, it's honestly not that.
I was talking to my group of guys, and like one of them owns a bunch of property, and we was like, yo, we should just come together and just buy some commercial land. And I was like, that would be a great idea. And I was like, but Janoka's not going to go for that. And I said, what, man?
I didn't say no. I was looking at the camera.
I'm like, Janoka's not going to go for that because why not?
Well, because I don't know. I mean, I've met everyone, but I don't know everyone. That's how I feel. Like, if I'm doing something as big as that, commercial usually is like $1 million plus asset, then I feel like I need to know these people. Now, we don't need to be best friends, but I need to have a better relationship. Maybe a few people I have a better relationship, but I know that paperwork would be in place, but that would be a huge thing for me. Like,
so just paperwork?
Especially since I don't know them that well, like what's the sign-in, what's the percentage, what's the expectations? That would be a huge thing for me.
That's another thing too. When you collaborate or go into business with someone, you're not just going into business with them. You go into business with their family, and if they got a spouse, you're going into business with their spouse.
So now, if it's 80 it's 16 of us, okay?
Yeah, if they married or they then you like, oh well, they're not married, so like, oh, now you got different layers of egos involved too,
commitment, and too many people in the pot.
Exactly, which makes things less likely to happen.
Too many people in the pot. But while you were talking, I'm like, so we were speaking, I was at least saying the reasons I don't really like collaborating. But outside of exposure, what would you say is a benefit of collaboration? Just like further growth, like outside of exposure of anything. Because if you think about it, a lot of people collaborate. Beyonce collaborates with Adidas, and all these companies do big collaborations with influencers. Like, what do you feel is the benefit of collaborating in general? I guess it depends on the
business. But let's just go back to the commercial property. Yes, exposure is a big one, but now my family is exposed to a bigger plot of land. My family's exposed to commercial properties. We don't own any commercial property. We probably never will if we don't get exposed or get around the right people who are doing these things. But let's go back to the market across the street. So if I have a plot of land and you want to bring a store in, it's not exposure for you to bring that store in or me. You're giving me an opportunity now. So it's being around opportunities that we didn't have before.
Okay.
Or even, let's say there's an even platform here. Let's say I have a commercial land, you have a commercial land, and it's like, all right, well, we're not going to gain any exposure from this, but now we have a bigger, how will I say it? I'm trying to go back to the community that was online. I guess it is exposure would probably be the biggest one.
The biggest benefit?
Yeah, either exposure to audiences or just exposure to things that you weren't exposed to before.
Yeah, I mean, no, that makes sense. I mean, and that's why they do it. They want you to tap into different markets. When I think about why companies collaborate with different influencers, because you, as influencer Sarah, you have your own community. You have a different market versus somebody, influencer Johnny, so on and so forth. So that exposure to my company, exposure to my product, to all these different groups, if you will, is the reason that most people collaborate. But I'm not anti-collaborating. I'm just very specific as to who and what we collaborate with. Because one, it's our brand, it's our money, it's our legacy, and it's not even just us anymore. Obviously, it has, our daughter is impacted as well. So it's like, I guess of the mindset of why put myself in something that I feel is going to go south or something like that. So that's kind of where I just kind of like, all right, let's not do it instead.
But you never go into anything with the idea that it's going to go wrong. You don't get married with the idea that you're going to get divorced immediately.
Of course not. That's true.
You don't get in a car thinking that you're going to crash.
Yeah.
These are not things you're thinking about. Obviously, they can happen and it's possible. But you would never go anywhere if you thought every time I got in a car, then I'm going to crash. You would not get in a car.
Yeah, I saw somebody bring up that stat when somebody said they're scared of flying. right? She was
you would never fly anywhere because in your back of your mind is that we might crash, or it may not happen, and you may get to the destination as you want to and experience new things.
What chance are you gonna take?
And meet new people. Or you could just stay in your same box, in your same neighborhood, in your same area, and just never leave. Never leave your house.
Right. Now, so it does depend on the collaboration, right? Because some are bigger than others, right? If I'm paying somebody $100 versus you're telling me to put up $40,000, it's two different things, right? Yeah. It's two different ball games.
That's true, too.
Yeah, there's levels to it, essentially. But, yeah, let me see.
But if you talked about different levels, but let's talk about that a little bit. If we are... $100 could be a lot to somebody.
Absolutely. Yeah, $100 is a lot, but not compared to 40,000.
40,000 might be a little to someone else.
I'm talking about us. I ain't talking about nobody else but us, okay?
But I do want people to just think about how can we build together, because I feel like can I just talk about my thoughts for a little bit?
Yeah, I'm gonna say no.
Like as you guys know, we have Cleaning Business University. We teach people how to start and scale six-figure cleaning business without cleaning any houses. If you're interested in that, you could check out Cleaning Business University. Link will be below. And let's talk about collaboration on that for a little bit. My idea for that could be so big. Like we have students across the United States. We have some actually across the world. We got some a little bit other places. Imagine if we took the best students, or not the best, the most successful students in different areas, and we brought them all together into Cleaning Business University, and we knew that we could create a larger impact. We could take those people, put them in different places, create their own coaching programs. Inside that, they can now generate more money, more income, and we can help more people get into the industry. We can help more people scale. We can give them more help. We can help more lives. We can impact more people. But the biggest but is egos that come into play will be always will be my biggest but.
Yeah, you can't control somebody else's ego. That's the thing. You don't know until it's happening. You have no idea. It could be the most sweetest person in the world, and then things change.
It's like, why?
And that's life.
The funny thing is, I literally seen that with this community that was built. It was like you saw people saying, "I deserve that. I want that." And
people when you get jealous too.
When you start saying, "I deserve that. I want that. I could do better than that," that's your ego, like literally biting you. And you probably can do better, and you probably can take it further, but you will never be able to take it further than if you decided to work together as a group.
That's fair. That's fair that's your thought on it. I don't disagree, though. I do agree. When you were speaking about it, kind of remind me of when we first started in this business, and we say that to our students, too. If there's people that live in your area, like in Atlanta or New York, live with you, any of our students, you guys should talk together, like speak together, see what the other person is doing, share contractors. When we first started in this business, there were a few companies that we started with, and we would speak with them all the time. And if they had a cleaning that they couldn't fulfill, they would pass it on to us and vice versa. Or if they had a last minute
call
out, they would ask, hey, do you have a contractor that I could use tomorrow, and vice versa. So that collaboration definitely was happening. We do encourage that because, like you said, I do feel like you can go further with those type of things in place.
What changed?
Got bigger.
Exactly. Even you see literally we got bigger.
Everybody got bigger.
Everybody got bigger. You know what happens when you get bigger?
Your ego gets bigger.
Your ego gets bigger. Your ego gets bigger. You start feeling I don't need you. I can figure it. And that happened. I'm not saying that's just them. That happened especially. I'm not even talking to Janoka. That happened with me. I feel like, all right, I don't need you anymore.
That's the funny thing. You have bigger ego than me.
I figured this out, or I will figure it out. I don't need to collaborate with you or come to you for help or ask you questions. I can't remember the last time I asked someone. Actually, no, I reached out. Yeah, I have reached out previously.
Okay. And sometimes they don't respond.
And then he's like, "Oh well, I'm doing my own." And then they could have been going through life situations.
Yeah, you never know what it is.
I don't know what could have happened, but my ego said that I reached out. You didn't reach back out. And this goes into other situations, life in general.
Yeah,
I didn't hear back from you. So now you know what, I'm going to do my own thing, and that's human ego is the biggest downfall of men.
A study on that.
Human ego is the biggest downfall of man, not just man as in human.
Okay.
If we didn't have egos, we would be a lot further in life. Trust me.
I mean, I don't disagree. I definitely don't disagree. It's just how do you do it while still protecting yourself because of the things that you may be fearful of when working with other people and collaborating. That's, I think, is the biggest thing. I wouldn't say not to collaborate at all because I think there's so many great collaborations that I buy, I see, I would love to be in, those type of things. But how do you do it that it still makes sense for you and the other person while still being protected as much as you can, because people are going to do what they do and you can't control that. But yeah, that would be my biggest thing.
Putting your ego aside, putting your pride aside, protecting yourself with documentation, maybe having that a lot more upfront communication on expectations, and not just communication, writing it down in that documentation, whatever that is. And I think that collaboration can be extremely powerful. We just have to find a way to do it more often.
Yep.
And then even with like I said, we was just watching Creed.
You didn't say that yet. We didn't even mention it yet. We just that's where we just came from.
We just came from watching Creed, and literally
great movie though.
Great movie. Michael did an amazing job.
Yeah, it was great.
And Michael B. Jordan and
I don't remember his name.
I just said his name.
Did you?
I literally just said his
Ant-Man.
No, Ant-Man. What?
He was in it. He was just in Ant-Man because that was the record that he had, like 2 top movies or whatever.
Oh, no. You talking about no.
Other star.
Nah, babe. You talking
about the guy that did Black Panther.
Yeah, I was talking about Ryan Coogler.
Oh, okay.
Ryan Coogler. They have been collaborating on so many projects, and if they just keep this going, they will be the biggest like 1-2 duo like ever in terms of like producing, writing together as a group, and they would go a lot further. Like I was just even in the movie Creed, like the plot of the movie in Creed 3. I'm not gonna.
About to say yeah.
I'm not gonna ruin the movie, but I mean, you know, Rocky is Rocky. The movie, the plot is the plot. You know,
people don't know Rocky.
You know they fight, right?
Yeah, they fight.
You know they fight. I'm not gonna tell you who wins, but the movie wouldn't be the movie, right? If you didn't know
people
who
fight.
won, you didn't know they fight. But if they didn't decide to fight, and they decided to work together in the beginning of the movie, I'm trying not to say too much, they would have gotten a lot further together. You agree or disagree on that one? If they would have continued,
sometimes you don't need to work with certain people. So
sometimes, yeah. Egos.
I don't know. Maybe it was destined to play out the way it played out.
Egos aside, they could have, if they would have followed the plan in the beginning of the movie, like he said.
Yeah, I think they could have got further. Financially, emotionally, yeah.
Think about Floyd Mayweather and I don't know, whoever is the biggest boxer and
the YouTuber.
How much money Floyd makes them when they box. That's what could have happened in this movie, but instead they decided to
do their own thing.
Do their own thing. Yeah. But that just tells you, man, the power of collaboration is so huge. I wanted to think about it more. I thought about it during the DJ Khaled, and you'll see different collaborations. You'll start to think about, how did this happen? Why did it happen? And
then sometimes you see things, you're like, oh, that's a good one.
Like
that should have been destined. Like, I don't know. I can't think of something right now, but like they should have been done that. That type of stuff. When you see people or just even some big products like, oh, it should have been happened. I don't have a name right now, but
think about.
There's so many things out. There's so many collaborations in this world in this day and age, especially. But DJ
Khaled had Jay-Z on the track, and Jay-Z said, we pushing more fentanyl than fentanyl. What's the name of fentanyl?
What the hell is that? Fentanyl, the drug?
No, not the drug. He was saying
Fendi?
No. What's Rihanna's thing?
Oh, Fenty.
Fenty.
Okay.
He was saying Fenty with fentanyl as like a double entendre.
Okay.
He said we are pushing that more. He was saying we're pushing Fenty more than fentanyl, the drug.
I get it.
But he also said, I'm at the cap table where the record is, whatever. He's saying that we're pushing Rihanna to the billionaire. We push Rihanna to the billionaire status. He's going to and she's going to collaborate with. He was saying literally what the collaboration was with the NFL. I was thinking about that today too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He said we're at the cap table what the business is. And then he said we're pushing Rihanna's fentanyl, whatever.
You can't say it. It's Fenty. It's real easy.
But he was literally saying that they was gonna do the Super Bowl collaboration.
Got it.
And you're like, in your mind, like, why would Jay-Z do all this stuff with the Super Bowl and this, that, and the third? And then you hear him or you hear his name come up with like the Dr. Dre stuff and the Snoop Dogg. Like there are collaborations that you mentioned that make sense.
That makes sense.
But you have to put your ego aside. If Jay-Z decided to say, I'm not going to work with the NFL because of what happened with Kaepernick in that situation, we don't know what he did to work with. We don't know what Kaepernick ever got from that.
Oh yeah, it was silent. I forgot.
It just was like, all right, we're not gonna talk about it no more. We don't know
No, we know he got a payout. They just didn't say how much.
Exactly. Right. We don't know if that's what Cap wanted. We don't know if Cap was happy with that.
We have no idea.
We have no idea. So we're saying Jay-Z shouldn't work with the NFL because of what happened with Cap.
Maybe Cap gave him the green light.
Maybe, exactly.
Who knows?
Maybe Kaepernick gave him the green light to say, do your thing. So now you're able to bring in black artists to the Super Bowl.
2 years in a row.
And make them, her sales went off the chart. Her music went off the chart. She hasn't done an album in 6 years. So think about collaboration and the power of it, y'all. Yeah, I think I got the point on this one.
But thank you again for tuning in. Make sure that you're subscribing, sharing, letting people know what we're doing and talking about every single Tuesday for the past year and a half, not half yet, but a year and about 3 months, we've been dropping episodes every Tuesday. Make sure you're tapping in. This year, we are also doing a lot more guests, more than we did the last time. So let us know who you want us to interview next. But we have some, if you haven't tapped in with those interviews already, make sure you check it out. And we have some others that are going to be coming up. So thank you again.
We just interviewed Mark Better Wallet. Excellent episode. We talked about going from financial, pretty much building financial freedom from adoption to financial abundance. That was a great episode. Make sure you go check that out and just also drop us a 5-star review like Janoka said.
Yep.
We appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Peace.
This has been an episode of the Heartzog Hustle Podcast. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite listening platform. And follow Anthony and Janoka on Instagram at The Heartrimony. That's TheHartrimony. Keep hustling, baby. Keep hustling, baby.
Get that money. Get that money.